once we're ready, we'll head right up the mountain. I will tell you a little bit about the area, a little bit about the tramway. If you do have any questions on the way up, just feel free to ask.
You want Mom to stand by you?
Happens to me all the time too.
Hello followers, nandito na kami sa loob ng Sky From.
Oh my gosh.
So we should be starting any second now, folks. Here we go. So the reason that we waited for those few seconds at the bottom is this is what's known as a switchback or a counterbalance system. There is only two cars on the system. One car goes up, the other car comes down. Now we are permanently attached to each other. That's why one car cannot move without the other. So as we leaving this lower terminal, the other car is simultaneously leaving the upper terminal. When we arrive at the top, they'll be arriving at the bottom. Very much like an old-fashioned clothesline going back and forth, or like a seesaw or teeter-totter, one car up, the other car down. We are not like a gondola system. We don't have many cars that go round and round, just the two cars. One car going up, the other car coming down. So the first thing we're going to see as we leave our lower terminal, if you look to the right of the back window, you can now see the town of Jasper coming into view. It is in the valley floor. Its elevation is 1,100 meters. Permanent population in Jasper is about 5,000 people. On a typical summer day, we could have anywhere between 30 and 35,000 people in the immediate area. I don't think we're going to have any typical summer days this year, folks. I think if we have 10 to 15,000 people in the area, that will be quite a bit for Jasper this summer. So at our lower terminal, we were at an elevation of 1,300 meters. When we arrive at the upper terminal, we'll be at an elevation of 2,300 meters. It's a 1 kilometer vertical lift along a track length that's about 2 kilometers in length. Our traveling time up the mountain is about 7 minutes. 7 minutes. So Jasper itself is named after a fellow by the name of Jasper Hawes. Now Jasper Hawes was a clerk for the Northwest Trading Company in the early 1800s. And between about 1800 and 1820, just north and east of Jasper towards Hinton, there was a trading post where he was the clerk. It was very well liked there, and people began to call the trading post Jasper House, and that's where Jasper gets his name from. It's not named after the mineral. If anything, the mineral is named after the park, because the colors in the mineral do reflect colors that you see in the national park here. About 2/5 of the way up the mountain. Its height is 20 meters tall. Now as we go around it, we do change the elevation, or the angle that we're going up the mountain. You can see we're coming up on quite a steep angle. We're going to go off the other side at a more shallow angle. As we do so, we are on a pivot above us. The car does sway from front to back a couple times. Just prepare yourselves for it. It's like being on a very big swing, folks. Here we go. There's the push. That's a nice one. That's as close as we get to a roller coaster, folks. So if you look off to my immediate right, you can now see our other set of cables. If you follow it up the mountain behind me, you can see your other car coming down. Of course, we'll pass it at exactly halfway. Our traveling speed today is 7 meters per second, about 25 kilometers an hour. So when we pass it, it's like passing a car on the highway. It will double the speed. So we're going to pass it at approximate speed of about 50 kilometers an hour, our regular driving speeds around most towns.
He's fast.
Maybe we'll just concentrate a little bit on the valley. Now you're going to see that brownish, milky colored river. That's the Athabasca River. The Athabasca River derives itself from the Columbia ice fields about 100 kilometers south of us, and will eventually flow into the Arctic Ocean. It goes by the Mackenzie River system. It goes into Great Slave Lake, comes out the other side as the Mackenzie River. It's about a 6,000 kilometer journey that it takes to get to the Arctic Ocean. Now that milky color is caused by glacial silt that's suspended in the water. What happens is when a glacier grinds against the rocks, it produces a very fine powder, also referred to as rock flour, and that's what's suspended in the water. Now just to the right of it, in the town of Jasper, you'll see 3 emerald-colored lakes. The first lake being Lac Beauvert, which means pretty green lake. It actually has Jasper Park Lodge on it. You can see some of the buildings on the far shore, and that grassy area to the far right is this golf course. The next large lake is Lake Annette. It actually has a public beach and a picnicking area around it. The third large lake is Lake Edith. There's private cottages around that lake. Now, all three of those lakes are
Pwede
accessible
ka ba-
by road, and they do have hiking trails around them. Particularly Lake Annette, the center lake, it has a paved hiking trail. So if you have small ones in a stroller, or you have someone in a wheelchair, it's a nice hike to take around. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour to walk around that lake. There's nice vistas along it too, so it's quite nice to go around.
Are they open?
As far as I know, sir, but you may need to check Parks Canada website
Oh,
to make
okay.
sure everything is open.
Yeah,
Things
yeah.
are open and closed because
I
of
know,
COVID,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So things are changing day to day here, so.
Yeah.
So we passed about the tree line, and the tree line in this area is about 2,100 meters. And about a third of Jasper National Park is above the tree line. This is a tundra area similar to what you see in parts of the Arctic. There's mosses up here, there's lichen, that's the black and green, sometimes orange and yellow algae. And later in the summer we'll have wildflowers. There's a very, very short growing season up here, and it can take as much as 50 years for a flower to bloom up in this environment. So we're just slowing down to come into our upper terminal. In the upper terminal itself, there's washrooms and a gift shop on the main floor. The second floor has our restaurant. There are decks on both sides. On the decks there are placards that would explain a little bit more about the areas. Several of the mountains I didn't get a chance to get to today. You can stay up here as long as you wish. Our cars leave about every 10 minutes or so. As you can see, we are sanitizing between the cars. Sometimes they're a little bit longer than that. Now when you're outside and you are physically distancing from other groups, 2 meters away, you don't have to wear your mask. You're not required to wear your mask. We only require you to wear your mask in the terminal itself and on the cars. Now there's a bit of a boardwalk around the back. If anyone is so inclined, there's a hiking trail that does take you to the summit. Once you go off our property, you're back in Parks Canada land, so do be careful back there. The hiking trail is about 1.2 kilometers, another 200 meters, or 60 stories to get to the top. It takes about 45 minutes to go each way. Now, we have had quite a bit of rain, so the trails are a little bit slippery, a little bit muddy, so do be careful. There's a bit of snow on them also. It's corn snow, late season snow. It's basically ice crystals. It can be very, very slippery, and it's also very, can be very abrasive too. So even though it seems we're at the top, the last few centimeters does go very, very slow, folks. So once we get the okay, Ryan will just open the door and let you out.
So, nandito na kami sa
So
taas.
we're gonna let you out on the
At
outside.
video
I would
later.
recommend going on car one side, that's where the sunny side is, and it's actually really quite pleasant over there.
What's the temperature today here?
I think it started about 8 this morning.
Oh, okay.
It's 15 now.
Oh,
up here,
15?
yeah. And that's
Oh,
the
not-
other
not
side,
too
is the
bad.
sunny side, that's
Yeah.
where they,
Okay,
so.
thanks.